As a minister of the gospel and by the laws of California, I now pronounce you husband and wife.
My first prayer is that I would be a reflection of the church as the bride of Christ by being submissive, loving you first, and showing you grace in all things. That Christ and the gospel would be magnified and exalted through our commitment to each other. That we would be blessed with children who grow into disciples of Jesus. That we would pray without ceasing, both together and apart, and that we never let the sun go down on our anger and extend new mercies on each other each morning as the Lord does for us.
What I learned about Caleb and Carol's goal for their marriage was they're not interested in Jesus being a guest. What they both want is for Jesus to be the center of attention for the entirety of their marriage, so they can grow together in harmony and in peace, both with Him and with each other.
I pray that our marriage would be honoring to the Lord and that we would always remember that everything we have is from Him. I pray that I would always be able to provide for and protect my wife and my family, and that I would be able to lead them to grow in the Lord and to love Him more. I pray that Carol and I would always put each other first, that we would remove selfishness from our hearts, and that we would always love each other as we love ourselves. I pray that Carol would be patient with my shortcomings and that she would graciously help me when I fall down. And I pray that we'd be able to raise children up in the Lord and that our marriage would be a picture of the gospel to them and to everybody around us.
Hi everyone, I'm Carol's sister. I like my new title. It's great. I had the pleasure of being there the moment that Carol saw Caleb. One day we had a family wedding and Carol was hanging out with me and I was like, Carol, you gotta come crash this wedding with us. It's a family wedding, no one's gonna care, you should come. And she was debating it in her head until Caleb previously had been kind of disheveled because he was on summer break, didn't have any girls to impress, and he was working on the house. So his hair was pleading to be cut, as Carol would say, and he was a little bit sweaty and dirty. But for this wedding, Caleb went and got a haircut and groomed himself, and he comes walking through the door, and I'm pretty sure I heard Carol gasp. And I'm not trying to be dramatic, but her eyes were in the shape of hearts. She looked at me and said, "Is that your brother?" I said, "You didn't know?" And the rest is history. She came to the wedding and, now we're here.
Recently, I was thinking of marriage as a marathon. And the first years of your life are just training to do the marathon, training for that first day where you start the race. And from that point on, it's the rest of your life. This marathon of a marriage is not an easy thing. It's really easy to get married, but for the next 55 years of your life, whatever, plus, to stay true and run the race faithfully is way harder. But what Christ did on the cross, He did not just purchase potential for us to do good, to do what is right, to follow Him, but He purchased the actual ability for us to succeed in this life, to succeed in walking by the Spirit. And so that's my prayer for you guys, is that you would take hold of the sure and true power that Christ has given us in His death, in His resurrection, to finish the race successful.
Dear Carol, have I ever told you how proud I am of you? I get to stand next to you today and watch you marry my brother, and I can't help but see God's faithfulness. You have worked your way through some very low valleys to get to this moment, many of which I have walked through with you. And it's beautiful and amazing what God does when his people look to him in those times and ask for his hand to be shown. I remember the first time we talked and you were asking God that he would be so evident in your relationship moving forward that on your wedding day, you would be able to visibly see his hands bringing you two together. And here we are today, witnessing that very thing. I am writing this to tell you that he has done it. He has answered your pleas and your prayers, and he has brought you two together by his hand alone. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud to call you my sister. I love you. Happy wedding day. What a beautiful and God-ordained day it will be.